Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the title of this video is unfortunately 100% correct. I sold two iconic amps and a vintage Fender guitar. And I'm here to tell you this story so you don't have to make the same mistakes. Plus, if we as guitarists suffer through this together, I think it's easier for everyone. So let's start and agonize over these things. Here we go. So the first amp that I really regret selling is this one. It's a Mesa Boogie Studio Preamp. I bought this when I was 18. I was in the middle of my Metallica Are Gods phase, and I just needed this kind of amp. And at age 18, I didn't have the money for like a proper Mark II C Plus or anything like that, but I knew that this preamp would sound kind of the same, and it actually did. It was awesome, it sounded great, and I don't even quite remember why I sold it. But what I do know is these things were super flimsy. The knobs kept falling off, because even back then in 2009, these things were very, very old, and all of the stuff on there really wasn't that great quality, I felt like, because the faders of the graphic EQ, they just kept falling off. The knobs kept falling off. The volume knob was just flimsy all the time. So it was a really strange unit, but it sounded really, really good. It had that classic Mesa Boogie Mark II C Plus kind of sound that you wanted if you were a James Hetfield fan like I was. I wish I still had this thing today, because if you look at the price, it's just insane. This is euros, but it kind of translates to dollars as well. It's like 1,800 bucks. I remember I bought this thing for 400 euros back in the day. And I guess I sold it for 400 as well. And I bought a Mexican Strat with that money. Can you believe it? It's like, I can't believe it. It was such an ill-advised move. I just can't believe I did that. It's just, it's insane to me nowadays that I did that. But I'm okay. I'm not beating myself up over it. That part comes later when we talk about the vintage Fender. What's up, guys? Joey from the future here. This is actually a good segue to ask you, what kind of gear do you regret selling, and what kind of gear would you love to have back? Let me know in the comments. Okay, next up, the Bogner Shiva EL34. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh my god, Joey, did you really sell a Bogner Shiva? And not only did I sell a Bogner Shiva, I sold one of the very first Bogner Shivas ever made, the ones with the silver panel. I guess these have green panels, let's see. Yes, you can see here, these panels are green. So these are the normal Shiva EL34s. Amazing sounding amp. I'm really surprised at how few guitar players actually really play the Shiva, because it's so good. It's the perfect mixture of a JCM 800 drive channel and a Fender clean channel. That's exactly what the Shiva is. You have like a black face kind of clean channel that is just amazing. And you have that JCM 800 to modded JCM 800 kind of sound in the drive channel that is off the charts. But back to the story, these are the green panel Shivas, and I had one of the first ever made. I had a silver panel Shiva. I would have to look this up, but I think only the first 100 Shivas ever made had silver panels. I bought it on eBay. I got it for a real good price. I guess it was 1,100 euros at that time, which was 2009 or 2010. And then again, in a total stupid move, I convinced myself that I don't need two channels and I don't need that kind of sound, and I sold it. And with the money, I bought a Marshall vintage modder. Can you believe it? I mean, it's just, that is the weirdest and worst amp swap of all time. You have a great amp, like an all-time great amp like the Shiva, and you say,
no, I don't need this. I don't need any of this. I don't need a clean channel. I just need a drive channel. All I need is a British sounding amp. So what I need is a Marshall vintage modern.
Which no guitarist plays today, by the way, because it's just not that great of an amp. Not only does it have amazing sounds, it also looks stunning. It's such a beautiful amp. Green LED, three-way foot switch, amazing Tolex. I mean, Reinhold Bogner is just like an absolute madman. You got reverb going on, which also sounds amazing. It's It's a perfect amp, really. If you want to hear a real good Shiva sound or example, you can basically listen to all of Mark Tremonti's solos in Alter Bridge, because that is the amp he uses for all his solos. Okay, now, are you ready for the ultimate I was too young to realize how stupid this is kind of move? Buckle up, people. I sold a 1969 Fender Mustang bass in competition red. Yeah, think about that for a second. Let your brain realize what I did there. You got it? Yeah. Real bonehead move right there. And here's the story how I got this, because you notice this one is right-handed, right? So I'm a left-handed player, I can't play that kind of bass. So why did I have that bass? It's really funny story. So back in 2008 or 2009, I worked at a recycling depot because I was still in school, and all I had to do was like wandering around the containers and see if all the people throw their stuff away into the right containers. And there was a man and a woman, they pulled up in a huge pickup, and they had an entire household's worth of stuff on their pickup. But one of the last things that this guy pulled off his pickup was the guitar case. And I was like, that guitar case looks old. So they leave the depot, and I'm thinking, should I climb into that container and see what kind of guitar is in there? I was very curious. I was like, probably it's just some cheap guitar, but maybe it's something awesome. So I remembered the container that they threw it in, and after my shift was over, I climbed into that container and I pulled out the entire case. And the case said nothing. And I open up the case and I see this. I see this Fender Mustang bass in competition red with a matching headstock. I'm not sure if mine had a matching headstock. And I was like, okay, this is a Fender, so this must be worth something, right? But then I turned it around and saw that the serial number only had 4 figures. And I was like, this is probably an old one. It had some scratches here and there, but it actually was in pretty good condition. So of course, I took it home. And on my way home, in my car, I was just so excited. I was just going, because I'm like, if this is a real vintage Fender, man, this is the find of a lifetime, right? So I took it home and I researched a little bit, and I typed in the serial number in the internet, and I asked some people on some forums, and they're like, hey, this is probably a 69 or 70 Fender Mustang bass. And I'm like, I just got that thing for free. And I couldn't believe it. So I asked a couple experts on forums what this thing is worth. Got a couple opinions, and I don't know if they took advantage of me or if it was actually true, but 2 or 3 internet experts came to the same conclusion that it's probably worth around $1,000, which in 2009, maybe that was even realistic, but I'm 100% sure they're worth a lot more today. So this says 4.7K. I don't think anybody would buy that for that price, but I'm pretty sure I sold it for way too little. But even the fact that I considered selling it is so ridiculous to me nowadays, because I'm like, even if I'm not right-handed, I could have just like kept it and waited for a better situation. No, not when you're young, not when you're 18 years old, not when you're in desperate need of a cab and you have all these things you want to buy, and somebody offers you like $1,000 and you're like,
sure, that's more than enough money. And by the way, what do I want with a bass? I'm a guitar player, right?
Yeah, I can feel your pain right now. I'm in pain too. So I sold this Fender Mustang competition bass to somebody through the internet for, I don't even remember, I guess close to $1,000. And that's how I sold a vintage Fender instrument for probably too little money, and also for no particular reason. And I remember exactly, I took the money and bought an orange cab. For fuck's sake, an orange cab. I could have bought that at any time. A couple years later, I wasn't in desperate need of it, but I just wanted it. I was young, I was desperate. You live and you learn. That's the story for today, guys. I'm still in a little bit of pain, but the moral of the story is even if somebody had told me back in the day, don't sell that bass, I still probably would have sold it just because I was so convinced that I was doing the right thing. I think everybody needs to make this kind of experience. What other people say often is not important when you're young and when you're 100% convinced that you have the best idea of what to do. Haven't we all made these kinds of mistakes? I'm pretty sure we have. And with that, I say goodbye and see you in the next one.